The stars stretched across the great void, shining like endless lamps of ancient history. In the heart of this wide galaxy stood the Grand Council Chamber, a structure so large it could hold entire fleets within its walls. The chamber had existed for thousands of years, built long before humanity even learned how to light fire on Earth. Here, the most powerful civilizations gathered to decide peace, war, and the fate of countless worlds. For centuries, humanity was only a rumor to many species, an upstart civilization still learning to cross the stars. They were spoken of as curious beings, fragile in body, soft in skin, and too young to understand the great games of politics. And yet, on this day, the council doors opened to welcome them for the first time. The human delegation entered with measured steps. At the front was Ambassador Jonathan Reynolds, a man of calm eyes and steady posture. He was not the tallest, not the strongest, but his presence carried quiet confidence. Behind him walked his small team, scientists, diplomats, and a single security officer. Their uniforms were simple compared to the bright robes, scaled armor, and glittering jewels of other alien representatives. As the humans crossed the marble-like floor of the chamber, whispers moved through the crowd. Hundreds of alien eyes, some glowing, some compound, some covered in armored lids, watched closely. "Are these the humans?" One insectoid voice clicked. "They look fragile," muttered a reptilian delegate. "No claws, no fangs, no natural armor," said another, their tone filled with mockery. Reynolds heard every word, though none of it reached his expression. He walked as though the voices did not exist. The human team followed, their eyes steady, their pace calm. At the far end of the chamber, upon a high throne of crystal and light, sat the High Speaker of the Council, an elder being with silver skin and 6 radiant eyes. Its voice, when it spoke, filled the chamber like soft thunder. "Humanity of Sol, you are welcome among us. Today you will observe the Council's discussions. Whether you are fit to stand among the elder races will be seen through your words and actions." Reynolds bowed his head respectfully. "We thank the Council for its invitation. Humanity comes with humility, but also with hope. We seek friendship, and we seek to share in the peace that this chamber represents." Some delegates nodded politely, others smirked. To them, humans were latecomers, children knocking on the doors of giants. The meeting began. One by one, matters of trade, border disputes, and ancient rivalries filled the hall. Voices rose and fell in a dozen languages, each translated instantly by machines. Humanity listened silently, speaking only when asked, careful not to overstep. The hours stretched, and the humans remained quiet observers. Yet they were not idle. Their eyes studied everything. The way one avian species twitched its wings when nervous, how a reptilian delegate tapped its tail when impatient, how the insectoid envoy hissed whenever trade was mentioned. Humans watched, learned, and stored every detail. Many species noticed their silence. "Why do they not speak?" whispered one crystalline envoy. "Perhaps they have nothing to say," came the reply. "Or perhaps they are afraid," another suggested with amusement. Reynolds sat calmly, hands folded, eyes sharp. Fear was not what kept him silent. It was patience. As the day went on, the subject of neutral mediation arose. 2 species, the Tharksan Coalition and the Voran clans, stood ready to strike at one another over mining rights. Their voices thundered, their threats shaking the chamber. "Enough," declared the High Speaker. "This council requires a neutral party to mediate. Who shall volunteer?" The hall grew quiet. No species wished to take the burden, for neither side trusted the other. Then slowly Reynolds rose. His voice carried steady and clear. "Humanity volunteers." The chamber filled with stunned silence, followed by a ripple of laughter. "You?" hissed a Tharksan delegate, its many eyes narrowing. "A prey species thinks it can guide predators." "They are younglings," scoffed a Voran warrior. "They know nothing of our ways." "Humans are too soft," added another voice. But Reynolds stood firm. "We will try if the council allows it." The High Speaker regarded him with all 6 eyes. "Very well. But you must first demonstrate your strength." Words are wind. Actions are stone. The council requires proof. At those words, the chamber shifted. Panels in the walls opened, and a deep hum filled the air. In the center of the chamber, the floor lowered, revealing a great holographic arena, light bent and twisted, forming landscapes of mountains, forests, and alien skies. "This trial will reveal your nature," said the High Speaker. Each species has walked this arena, showing how they survive under threat. Now humanity will step forward. The human team exchanged glances. Their scientist looked uneasy, their diplomat worried. But the security officer, a tall woman named Lieutenant Hayes, nodded firmly. "We'll do it," Reynolds said simply. The council leaned forward in curiosity as the humans descended into the glowing arena. Around them, the holographic world shifted into a hostile wilderness. Shadows moved in the tall grass. Growls echoed from unseen throats. The air grew heavy with danger. Most aliens expected panic. They imagined the humans running, screaming, hiding from the predators that now circled them. After all, what could soft-skinned creatures do against beasts with fangs and claws? But the humans did not run. They did not cry out. Instead, they stood together in a small circle, eyes scanning the horizon. Lieutenant Hayes crouched low, pointing toward the sound of movement. The others followed her lead without question. "Stay close. Watch the ridges. Use the rocks as cover," Hayes instructed calmly. Predators emerged. Four-legged beasts with scales and spines, jaws wide and dripping. They roared and charged. The first alien delegates leaned forward eagerly, expecting the humans to break. But to their surprise, the humans did something unexpected. They moved, not with fear, but with precision. Hayes called out positions. Two humans lured a beast toward a narrow pass while another prepared to trap it with falling rocks. With quick thinking and teamwork, the humans brought the first predator down. Whispers filled the chamber. They hunted it. Did you see their eyes? They are not prey at all. The simulation continued and more beasts appeared. The humans did not scatter like frightened animals. They adapted. They trapped. They struck with ruthless timing. Their eyes shone not with panic, but with something far older, something primal. The council, for the first time, began to understand. These beings were not soft. They were not weak. They were something different, something dangerous. And though the trial had only just begun, already the chamber could feel it. Humanity's predator instinct was awakening before their eyes. The holographic arena glowed with shifting light. The first wave of predators had fallen, and the human team stood tall, breathing hard but steady. Around them, the council watched in silence. What was expected to be a display of fear had turned into something far more unsettling. The alien delegates leaned forward in disbelief. The Tharxan with their crystal-like bodies whispered nervously. The reptilian Vorin narrowed their eyes. The insectoid envoys clicked their mandibles in unease. Even the usually calm avian species fluffed their feathers in surprise. No one had expected this. Ambassador Reynolds looked up toward the high chamber. His face was calm, but his heart beat heavy in his chest. Humanity had revealed a part of itself, and he knew the council was now watching with new eyes. The high speaker raised one silver hand. The humans have completed the first stage, but the trial is not finished. The arena adapts. More danger comes. The floor shifted again. Trees grew taller, their shadows stretching long. The ground rumbled. A new sound filled the air, deep guttural roars that shook the sky. From the forest edge emerged larger creatures, twice the size of the earlier beasts. Their scales glistened like metal, and their eyes burned with cold hunger. The council chamber buzzed with whispers. This is where they break. No fragile mammal can stand against such monsters. Watch, they will finally run. But in the arena, the humans did not run. Lieutenant Hayes scanned the new predators and spoke quickly to the team. We can't fight them head on. Too strong. We'll use terrain. Divide them. Control the fight. The others nodded. Even without training as soldiers, they understood. They trusted her instincts, trusted each other. The predators charged. Their claws tore the ground, their jaws snapped like thunder. Hayes shouted, "Left side, draw it to the ridge." "Reynolds, with me." Two humans sprinted toward a slope, drawing one beast after them. The others moved toward scattered boulders, weaving between cover. The council gasped as they watched. The humans were not panicking, they were planning. Their movements were not random. They worked like parts of a machine, each action connected to the other. One human threw a stone at the charging beast. It roared and turned, chasing the noise. Another climbed a rock, then leapt down onto a branch, forcing the predator to stumble beneath it. In that instant, Hayes and Reynolds struck together, pushing a large boulder that crashed down and trapped the creature. The arena echoed with its dying cry. The other beasts fared no better. They were lured into narrow passages, tricked into colliding with each other or driven into ambushes. The humans did not match brute strength with brute strength. They used speed, intelligence, and cooperation. Within minutes, the second wave of predators lay defeated. The chamber was silent. Dozens of alien delegates stared wide-eyed, unable to believe what they had just seen. For thousands of years, no species had fought like this. Most had evolved with natural defenses, spikes, shells, venom, or psychic powers. Humans had none of these, but instead of weakness, they had revealed something more dangerous. "They think ahead," whispered an avian envoy, her feathers shivering. "They hunt as one," murmured a Voran warrior, his tail twitching uneasily. "They are predators of the mind," hissed an insectoid elder, her mandibles clicking. Ambassador Reynolds looked up at the council, his face calm though his pulse raced. He could see the unease spreading across the chamber. The trial was meant to humiliate humanity, to prove them unworthy of standing among the great powers. Instead, it was showing the council something they had never witnessed before. The High Speaker's voice filled the chamber again. "The humans adapt. The humans endure. The trial continues." The arena trembled once more. The sky darkened, clouds swirling with storm. From the mountains came the final challenge, a single predator, larger than the rest, its body armored in thick scales, its eyes burning red. It was a beast designed to break armies. Gasps rose from the chamber. Some delegates leaned forward eagerly, expecting the humans' end. Others watched in silence, fear creeping into their thoughts. In the arena, the humans tightened their circle. Hayes' voice was low but steady. "This one we can't trap with rocks. Too big, we'll wear it down. Look for weak points. Eyes, legs, joints. Don't get caught alone." The beast roared and charged. The ground shook with its steps. The humans scattered, forcing it to choose a target. It lunged at Reynolds, but he dove aside just in time. Hayes threw a shard of stone at its eye, making it blink in pain. Another human darted behind it, striking its hind leg with a sharpened branch. The council gasped again. The humans were not just surviving, they were attacking. With each pass, they tested the beast, learning its movements, finding its weaknesses. They bled it slowly like hunters circling prey. At last, Hayes signaled, "Now, all together." They struck in unison. One blinded the beast's eye. Another drove a stake into its leg. Reynolds and Hayes climbed onto its back, targeting the joints where its armor was weakest. The creature roared, thrashing wildly, but the humans did not let go. With relentless precision, they brought it crashing to the ground. The arena went silent. The beast lay still. The humans stood above it, exhausted but unbroken. For a long moment, the council chamber was utterly quiet. Then the whispers began. "They killed it." "No, they hunted it. They are predators, but predators unlike any other." The High Speaker rose from the throne, its 6 eyes glowing. "The humans have completed the trial. They did not falter. They did not flee. They revealed their nature before us all. Some delegates looked fearful, others thoughtful. A few nodded with newfound respect. But all of them understood one truth. These newcomers were not prey." Ambassador Reynolds met the gaze of the council. His voice was calm but carried weight. "This is humanity. We are not the strongest. We are not the fastest. We are not the oldest. But we are hunters. We adapt, we endure, and we will never stop moving forward." The chamber was silent once more. For the first time in its history, the Galactic Council saw humanity not as fragile newcomers, but as something far more dangerous. They saw the predator instinct hidden behind human eyes, and it unsettled them to the core. And deep inside, a question formed in every mind. If this is what humanity can do in a trial, what would they do in war? The arena floor was silent after the fall of the great beast. The holographic storm faded, the growls of predators vanished, and the battlefield turned still. The humans stood in the center, sweat dripping from their brows, their chests rising and falling with heavy breaths. Yet their eyes, sharp, steady, unflinching, remained fixed on the shadows around them as if expecting more. The council chamber was filled with a strange tension. Hundreds of alien delegates stared down, many with disbelief carved across their faces. What they had witnessed challenged everything they thought they knew about humanity. They had seen strength before. They had seen fury, psychic powers, venom, claws, and shells. But what they had seen today was different. These humans had fought without fear. Not only to defend, but to dominate. To outthink, to adapt. For the first time, the aliens saw something they had not expected, the awakening of predators where none should exist. Ambassador Reynolds lowered his hand to steady himself. His voice, though tired, was calm as he looked toward the Council's throne. "We have finished your trial. We stand before you not as prey, not as weaklings, but as equals. Humanity endures." The High Speaker did not answer right away. Its 6 radiant eyes studied the humans with quiet thought. Around the chamber, voices rose in sharp whispers. "This is impossible. They have no natural weapons. How can they fight like this? They are not supposed to be predators. They are supposed to be prey." The Voran war chief slammed his claw against the railing. "This is deceit. The simulation is flawed. They must have cheated." A ripple of agreement moved through some delegates. Others, however, remained silent, their expressions caught between fear and respect. The insectoid envoy, old and wise, clicked her mandibles thoughtfully. "No, it is not cheating. Look into their eyes. See how they move. These humans, they carry the gaze of hunters. I have seen it before, in the eyes of the jungle stalkers of my homeworld. It is instinct." Her words sent a shiver across the chamber. Lieutenant Hayes stood tall, her eyes narrowing as she scanned the council. She had fought the hardest inside the arena, and even now adrenaline still pulsed through her veins. There was a sharpness in her stance, something primal that even she did not fully recognize. The High Speaker raised one hand for silence. The chamber fell quiet at once. "The trial has ended. Humanity has proven something undeniable. They are not fragile. They are not weak. They are different." The words hung in the air like thunder. Reynolds stepped forward, his voice carrying softly but with strength. "We did not come here to frighten. We came here to be heard, yet you asked us to prove ourselves, and so we did. What you witnessed is not cruelty. It is not savagery. It is survival. It is who we are." The council listened, but the unease deepened. Some aliens shifted uncomfortably, remembering the way the humans had circled the great beast, how they had studied it, exploited its weaknesses, and finally brought it down. It was not the act of prey. It was the act of hunters who had learned long ago that survival depended on becoming the ultimate predator. A crystalline delegate finally spoke, its voice sharp like breaking glass. "You say survival, but I saw more than survival. I saw the hunger in your eyes. You enjoyed the fight." At that, Hayes's eyes flicked upward, catching the delegate's gaze. Her expression was unreadable, but her silence was enough to unsettle the chamber further. The Voran war chief growled, baring his sharp teeth.
"This is what I warned."
They smile with soft mouths, but inside they hide the soul of killers. Do you not see? Admit them to this council, and one day they will turn their instincts on us all. His voice echoed, stirring tension across the hall. Several delegates nodded, but others frowned. Then slowly another voice rose, a calm, thoughtful tone from an avian elder with feathers of silver. "Or perhaps this is what the galaxy has been missing. For too long we have surrounded ourselves with peace that is fragile, with safety that is an illusion. Perhaps what we saw today is not only danger, but also strength." The chamber murmured again, torn between fear and admiration. Reynolds remained silent now, letting the council argue among themselves. His eyes scanned the chamber, reading the room as carefully as he had read the battlefield. He knew that humanity had revealed too much too soon, but it could not be undone. The predator instinct had awakened, and all had seen it. The High Speaker finally called for order. Its 6 eyes swept across the hall. "The humans have revealed themselves. This council must decide what such revelation means. Are they to be trusted as allies or feared as rivals?" The debate exploded. Some species argued for rejection, claiming humanity was too dangerous to allow into the council. Others spoke for acceptance, saying such resilience could strengthen the galaxy as a whole. Through it all, the humans stood quietly. Hayes crossed her arms, her gaze fixed forward. The scientists whispered among themselves, nervous but proud. Reynolds stood like a pillar, his calm expression hiding the storm within. At last, the High Speaker spoke again. "The council cannot decide with words alone. There must be another test, not of survival, but of honor." The Voran war chief rose instantly, seizing the moment. "Yes, let us see their honor. I challenge humanity to a duel, one of their warriors against one of mine. No holograms, no illusions, only truth in combat. The chamber stirred. Some cheered, some protested, but none dismissed the proposal. A duel was an ancient tradition among many species, a way to prove not only strength but spirit. Reynolds exchanged a glance with Hayes. She nodded slightly, her jaw set. "Very well," Reynolds said at last. His voice was calm, but every syllable carried weight. "Humanity accepts." A hush fell over the chamber. The Voran war chief bared his fangs in a sharp grin. "Then prepare. Tomorrow, before the eyes of all, humanity will face the Voran, and the galaxy will see the truth of what you are." The council session ended in a storm of whispers and arguments. Delegates departed, each carrying the image of humanity's awakening in their minds. Some felt fear, others curiosity, and a few deep respect. As the humans left the chamber, Reynolds walked at the front, his face unreadable. But inside, he understood the truth. This duel would decide not only humanity's place in the council, but perhaps its place in the galaxy itself. Behind him, Hayes clenched her fists, her eyes glowing with determination. She had fought predators in a simulation. Tomorrow, she would fight for real. And in that moment, every human instinct within her sharpened, rising like fire. The predator had awakened, and soon, the galaxy would witness its full power. The next day, the council chamber glowed under pale light high above the galaxy. The vast assembly of alien delegates filled the hall, their eyes sharp and curious. The humans entered quietly, led by Ambassador Reynolds and Lieutenant Hayes. The air was thick with tension. Every species knew why they were here. Today, humanity would not only defend its honor, it would prove its place in the galaxy. The Voran war chief waited in the center of the arena, massive scales gleaming, muscles coiled like springs ready to strike. His claws were long and sharp, and his teeth caught the light in a deadly grin. Around him, other delegates whispered, some doubting humanity could survive, others curious to see the outcome. Reynolds stepped forward, his posture calm. "We honor the council and its traditions. Humanity accepts this challenge." Hayes moved to the front of the human line, her stance steady, hands relaxed but ready. She did not carry armor beyond a simple combat suit. No weapons beyond a small blade at her side. To the untrained eye, she was fragile. To anyone who truly understood, she was the embodiment of controlled danger. The high speaker's 6 eyes scanned the chamber, glowing softly. "This duel is not only for honor, it is to show the council the spirit of humanity. Fight with respect, fight with skill, but above all, show who you are." The Voran war chief laughed, a low rumble that shook the floor. "I will make this quick. Humans are weak. They are prey. Let the galaxy witness their end." Hayes did not flinch. She simply bowed slightly to her opponent. A gesture of respect then shifted her weight. "Ready." The duel began. The Voran charged immediately, massive legs propelling him forward like a living battering ram. His claws scraped the ground, sparks flying as they hit the arena floor. Hayes sidestepped, rolling smoothly and keeping her distance. Every motion was precise, economical, efficient. She did not waste energy, yet she moved like a predator herself, watching, learning, waiting. The first strike from the Voran came fast, but Hayes anticipated it. She ducked beneath the claw, her small blade slicing against the creature's armor. Sparks flared, and the alien recoiled slightly, surprised at the precision of the strike. A murmur ran through the council. "They are faster than I expected," whispered a Tharxan envoy. "Yes, too calculated," muttered a crystalline elder. Hayes pressed forward, feinting left, then striking right, forcing the war chief to pivot constantly. Each movement was carefully measured, exploiting weaknesses in his armor that most species would never notice. The Voran growled, frustration building. He lashed out with his tail, attempting to sweep Hayes off her feet. She leapt, rolling over the strike, landing lightly on her feet as if gravity itself obeyed her will. The council leaned forward, astonished. For centuries, the Voran had defeated countless challengers with brute force. None had survived more than a minute against him. Yet here was a human, moving like wind, striking like a blade, never panicking, never fleeing. The duel intensified. Hayes ducked under a claw, rolled to the side, and used the war chief's momentum against him, slamming him into the ground with a precise maneuver. The chamber erupted in whispers and shocked gasps. He's being controlled," muttered one alien. "She is dancing with death," whispered another. Reynolds watched from the edge of the arena. His hands were clasped behind his back, his expression calm but his mind racing. Hayes was not just fighting for honor. She was showing the Council humanity's greatest strength, the predator instinct. It was more than skill. It was instinct sharpened over millennia. The humans of old had hunted across forests, deserts, and oceans. They had tracked, planned, adapted, and survived. They had evolved not claws, not scales, not venom, but a mind capable of turning even the strongest predator into prey. Hayes now had the Voron on the defensive. Each strike was calculated, each movement precise. The war chief roared, frustrated. His pride stung as the human avoided every attempt to dominate with brute strength. Finally, Hayes saw her opening. The war chief shifted his weight slightly too far to the right, exposing a joint under his arm. In a single motion, she struck, swift, accurate, and controlled. The war chief stumbled and fell to his knees. The chamber went silent. Every delegate stared, unable to believe what they had just seen. The Voron, the feared predator of countless worlds, had been disarmed, brought to submission by a human. Not through raw power, but through skill, intelligence, and the cold precision of a hunter's mind. Hayes did not celebrate. She simply held her stance, blade at the ready, eyes sharp. She waited, respecting her opponent even in victory. The war chief roared one last time, then lowered his head. The fight was over. Reynolds stepped forward and extended a hand. You fought well. The Council sees your strength and skill. Humanity respects your honor. The war chief, panting, raised his head. After a long pause, he lowered himself fully in a gesture of submission. The chamber erupted, not in cheers but in stunned respect. The high speaker spoke, its voice resonating through the hall. Today the Council has seen humanity not as prey but as predator. Not as weaklings but as equals. Not merely as a species of survival but as a species of endurance, skill, and instinct. Let this day be remembered. Whispers of fear and admiration spread through the chamber. Some delegates who had mocked humanity now looked at them with caution. Others bowed slightly, a sign of respect in their culture. Reynolds turned to Hayes and the team. You have done more than win a duel, he said softly. You have shown the galaxy the truth of who we are. Hayes allowed herself a small nod, still breathing heavily. We didn't need to destroy him, she said. We only needed to survive, and to prove ourselves. Across the chamber, the Voron war chief's eyes glowed faintly, not with anger, but with reluctant respect. He had been bested not by chance, but by instinct, strategy, and determination, the qualities that defined humanity. The Council began deliberating. No one spoke of exclusion anymore. The question was no longer whether humans could survive in the galaxy. The question was how the galaxy would handle a species that could outthink, outfight, and outlast nearly any predator it faced. An elder avian delegate finally spoke aloud, her feathers quivering. We underestimated them. We believed them fragile. Yet today, they have shown us strength unlike any we have witnessed. They are dangerous, yes, but they are also remarkable. The crystalline elder nodded. Dangerous, but disciplined. Lethal, but restrained. We must rethink what it means to underestimate life. Even the high speaker seemed contemplative. The human's predator instinct is not merely survival. It is honor. It is strategy. It is the spark of something greater. The Council cannot ignore this. Humanity has earned its respect. The humans were silent witnesses to this changing perception. They had come seeking a place at the Council. What they had gained was something greater: recognition, fear, and respect. Later, as they left the arena, Reynolds spoke quietly to Hayes. Today was only the beginning. The galaxy knows we are not weak, but tomorrow, we must show them we are more than just hunters. We must show them why humanity belongs among the stars. Hayes looked at him, determination shining in her eyes. We're ready. Whatever comes next, the Council will see what humans can do. And somewhere deep in every mind within the Council chamber, a single thought grew. Never mistake humanity for prey. Because humanity had awakened, and when a predator rises, it does not simply survive, it dominates, adapts, and endures. The sun, or what passed for a sun in the Council's orbital chamber, shone through the great glass dome, casting golden light across the vast hall. Delegates of countless species had gathered once again, their faces a mixture of curiosity, caution, and respect. Today marked the conclusion of the trials, the duels, and the demonstrations that humanity had undertaken. The air was thick with anticipation. Every eye was turned toward the humans, waiting to see what they would do next. Ambassador Jonathan Reynolds led the human delegation to the center of the chamber. Lieutenant Hayes followed, flanked by the remaining team members. Each of them had fought, learned, and endured challenges that no other species could have imagined. Today they would speak not only for themselves but for all of humanity. The High Speaker's 6 eyes glowed softly as it raised a hand. The trials are complete. The Council has observed humanity's nature in both simulated and real combat. The question now is not whether humans can survive but how they are to be regarded by this assembly. A murmur of agreement rippled through the hall. Many delegates had entered the chamber believing humans to be weak, fragile, and unworthy. That assumption had been shattered in the arena. Every strike, every maneuver, every carefully calculated movement had shown the truth. Humans were not prey. Humans were predators, unmatched in their ability to adapt, think, and endure. Reynolds stepped forward. His voice carried clearly through the chamber, calm yet commanding. "Delegates of the Council," he began, "we did not come here seeking power. We did not come seeking war. We came seeking understanding and friendship, yet you have asked us to prove ourselves, and in doing so, you have seen what humanity truly is." Some delegates nodded quietly. Others whispered among themselves. The Voran war chief, who had faced Hayes in the duel, stood silently, his head bowed slightly in respect. Even the most skeptical species could no longer deny the truth. Reynolds continued, "We are not the oldest species. We are not the strongest in body. We do not possess claws, venom, or psychic powers, but we endure. We adapt, we plan, we learn. And when necessary, we fight, not for pleasure, not for conquest, but for survival, for honor, and for the protection of those we care for." A crystalline delegate tilted its multifaceted head. "You speak of survival and honor, but what you showed in the arena, that was not survival alone. That was efficiency. That was skill." Reynolds smiled faintly. "It is instinct sharpened by necessity. Humanity's predator instinct is not a gift of brute force. It is a product of evolution, of countless generations learning to survive against threats larger and stronger than ourselves. It is a part of us, as real as our minds and our hearts, and now you have witnessed it." For a moment, silence fell over the chamber. The delegates, who had spent hours debating humanity's place in the galaxy, now felt something else, an acknowledgement, even if unspoken, that humans were unlike anything they had ever faced. The High Speaker's voice echoed through the hall. "Humanity has shown its nature. They have endured trials no other species could have survived. They have faced predators, both real and simulated, with courage and precision. The Council must now recognize not only their strength but their value." A murmur of agreement swept through the delegates. Some still harbored fear, but fear had now transformed into respect. The humans had earned it, not through intimidation, but through demonstration of skill, resilience, and honor. Suddenly, a younger alien delegate rose, its voice quivering slightly. "If humans are so dangerous, can they be trusted? Their strength could be used against us." Reynolds' eyes met the speaker's. "Trust is not given blindly, and power is not inherently dangerous. Humanity's predator instinct is a tool, not for destruction but for protection. We are dangerous only to those who threaten us or those we care for. That is our code. That is our nature." The chamber fell silent again. Even the most cautious delegates had to acknowledge the truth in Reynolds' words. The humans had not sought to dominate or humiliate the Council. They had acted with skill, discipline, and honor. Their instinct to hunt had been tempered by restraint. The Voran war chief finally stepped forward. His voice was low, but every syllable carried weight. "I have faced many challengers. None have moved like the human you call Hayes. None have thought as quickly, reacted as efficiently, or endured as patiently. I came here expecting an easy victory, and yet I have learned respect. Humanity is not to be underestimated." Other delegates echoed his sentiment quietly. Whispers of respect, awe, and even admiration filled the chamber. Some of the oldest species, who had long dismissed younger civilizations as weak, now reconsidered humanity's potential. Reynolds looked at the Council with calm confidence. "Humanity does not seek to conquer. We seek understanding. We seek collaboration. But understand this, underestimate us at your own risk. We are resilient. We are adaptable. We are predators of both mind and spirit, and we endure no matter the threat." The High Speaker lowered its hand and spoke with finality. "Let this day mark a turning point in the history of the Council. humanity has revealed its true nature. They are not prey. They are not weaklings. They are a force of resilience, a species capable of endurance, strategy, and instinct unlike any seen before. They shall be recognized as full members of this assembly. The chamber erupted in a mixture of applause, whispers, and cautious nods. For the first time, humans were not the subject of ridicule or doubt. They were equals, respected and acknowledged by species that had existed for thousands of years. Reynolds turned to Hayes and the team. "You have done more than survive," he said softly. "You have changed how the galaxy sees us. Today the Council has witnessed humanity's predator instinct, and they will never forget it." Hayes allowed herself a small smile. "We didn't need to prove anything. We only needed to survive and show them who we really are." The humans exited the arena, not as fragile newcomers but as equals in a galaxy that had once doubted them. Along the corridors of the Council's chambers, whispers spread. Every delegate, every soldier, every observer would remember the day humanity revealed its true nature. In the days that followed, ambassadors approached the human delegation with renewed respect. Offers of trade, collaboration, and partnership poured in. Even species that had once mocked humanity now recognized them as a force to be respected, not because of brute strength, but because of intelligence, resilience, and a unique instinct that set them apart. Reynolds addressed his team quietly as they prepared to leave the Council chambers. "This is only the beginning. The galaxy knows we are not weak. They know we endure. But our work is not done. We must continue to show them our true value, not as predators seeking prey, but as humans capable of shaping the future of the stars." Hayes nodded. "The Council has seen what we can do. Now they must see what we can become." And so humanity earned more than a seat in the Galactic Council. They earned a reputation that would echo across the galaxy for generations. A reputation not built on intimidation, nor on domination, but on survival, skill, and the instinct that had allowed them to endure against all odds. Every species, every delegate, every observer would remember this day, not as the day humans arrived, but as the day humanity's predator instinct was unleashed before the galaxy, and the Council understood that Earth's children were no ordinary species. The galaxy would never underestimate them again, and deep within the hearts of every human present, a quiet pride grew. They had endured, they had adapted, they had survived, and in doing so they had shown the universe the true meaning of being human. The stars outside the Council chamber gleamed brighter that day, reflecting a truth the galaxy would carry forever. Humanity had arrived, not as prey but as predators, predators with honor, intelligence, and the will to endure.